can stage those rockets, and they're moving the same speed we are, so they're not going to go anywhere until we accelerate. Did they release? I don't know if they released. I can turn some lights on. I only put lights on the lander and the launch clamps for the night launch. Yeah, they're slowly starting to go apart. So I don't think they'll drift into us, so we should be all right. So we can, crew report won't give us anything, but it doesn't hurt to check, right? And we're looking to go to Minmus. Now, if you notice, Kerbin doesn't have an axial tilt, so it doesn't have seasons. Whatever the weather is, you know, it'll change, but it stays pretty much the same. And if you launch from the Space Center, which is on the equator, you can get a pretty good circular orbit, only off by a couple of degrees. And then the moon is the same. So you could line your orbit up with the moon pretty easily off a launch. But Minmus has a very inclined orbit. And there's 2 points on the orbit where we line out, and that's on the ascending node and the descending node, and we're off by about 7 degrees. So on our first orbit around Kerbin, we're going to adjust our node. We're going to adjust our orbit so that we match that plane. So this is the descending node, so we're going to want to thrust south, and you'll see the dotted line that represents what our action will do. Rise up and spin around. So 7 degrees is quite a bit. So if you notice, right about there, we're at 0 degrees. But now I need to check my apoapsis and my periapsis, the future projected, and make sure that they don't get really wonky, because sometimes you can do that and end up crashing back into the planet. So there we go. I'm using power. So I'll turn my lights off, and I'm going to slowly rotate to point at my maneuver node. And the fins, you can see they move. They only work in atmosphere, though. In space, there's no air, there's no resistance, but they still move. So we'll point at our maneuver node and accelerate time, and we'll just see those go drifting off, and they'll just stay in orbit up here as debris. So you run a very, very slight risk of crashing into debris up here. There's a persistence file, and you can set it to not remember debris, but I don't like to do that. I like to keep track and have that debris up there, up the risk if it, even though it's ever so slight. So 33 seconds, and we're more or less halfway. So we'll burn. So you'll see our orbit start to change to match up with our computer maneuver plan. Done. A little bit of throttle. And I think we're good. I'll get rid of that maneuver node. And our descending node is now 0 degrees. So we're now orbiting as the same plane as Minmus. So now, where is Minmus? Excuse me. Minmus is up there, so we'll set a maneuver here. And we had an encounter there. Did we? Maybe we didn't. Oh no, I'm way off. I wasn't even close. There's a lunar encounter. So there's a Minmus encounter. And that's actually a good periapsis. And that gives us a free return trajectory. But the slingshot will bring us around and would actually get us in a moon encounter as well. So if I was going to send a probe up, I could do one that was a lot more efficient. I'd hope. I have in the past. But you could send a probe up, and typically you would slingshot by the moon, and then while the probe's by the moon, do whatever science there, and then have the probe encounter Minmus and transmit that science back to Kerbin. So, but we're going to try and land on Minmus. So I'll orient the spacecraft at the maneuver node. And time accelerate until it's time for our burn. This is just so cool. So 5 minutes out, and we're losing our target a little bit. So if you notice, our burn is going to be prograde, the way it's adjusting. And this is our going to transfer us to Minmus. It's over a minute burn. So I'm going to start now. A lot of times, see, those are our little rocket dealies. The last stage that we had, just drifting off over the course of time. But if you look where we're at, before they had maneuver nodes, basically to get to the moon and Minmus, you would just wait until they rose over the horizon. That's Minmus right there, that little blinking sprite. That 1 pixel kind of winking at us is Minmus. As soon as it came over the horizon, you would burn prograde until your orbit got out close to its orbit. And you'll see this is, I think they call this a Hohmann transfer, but you can see that it'll just keep accelerating, and I'm throttling down right now so that I don't overshoot. That was a moon encounter on a return, and stop. So let's see where we're at. I'll get rid of the maneuver node, get that clutter off the screen. And right now we don't have an encounter. But what I can do is right here on the orbit is adjust. And the further out I do it, actually the greater it does it. So it's if I were to make an adjustment here, you saw how fast that was moving, instead of waiting until I get right there and try and maneuver. So I'll time accelerate. To right about there. That's about as far as we've ever been out. Well, we landed on the moon, so it's pretty close. So right about close to the moon, I'll adjust I'll make an adjustment here and there and see what that gives us. And these things don't do anything. So, whoops. So maybe I should have done it back even further back. So let's see. That's our projected periapsis there. I wanted it to stay on the screen. $16,000 meters is good. So whatever I did there seemed to kind of work. That's about where it was at before. So now I need to track down my maneuver node. And time accelerate. Until we get close to it. Three, two, one. And I'll start it at 0 or close to 0. Ah! It didn't give me an estimated burn. Oh, look at that. So if I stayed just like this, I can swing by Minmus, get a moon encounter, swing back around Kerbin, and be accelerated fast enough for a Kerbin escape. That would put us in a solar orbit like that. So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to turn that off. And my periapsis is still going to be 700,000 meters. It didn't give me an estimated burn time. I should have looked at how much delta V it needed. That would have been kind of an indicator. Let's see what this does. If I were to just... If I accelerate towards it, I can't read any of those. So there's the sun, there's Kerbin, and the moon. Looking quite small in the distance. Take a screenshot of that there. Let's see if I can change this camera angle a little bit. There we go. Got the sun at my face and the moon behind Kerbin. Take a screenshot of that there. So why does it still look like I have a maneuver node going? Well, I'll just time accelerate until we get close to Minmus. See how far away Kerbin is now. So we're moving pretty good. can see the moon spinning around Kerbin. And let's see if we can see Minmus yet. He's supposed to be in front of us. Where's our target? He should be somewhere over here. Unless I'm close to him. He's pretty far out. Let's check the map. Still quite far out. So there we are, and you can see how fast we're going. We're going to zing right out of there if we don't do something. But the best efficiency is going to be right there. And we'll add a braking maneuver that will put us in orbit around Minmus. So rotate the spacecraft. Since we're in Minmus orbit, I can use the mystery goo and do a crew report. 20 science while in space high over Minmus. So we get 100%. So we'll transmit that data. There's Kerbin and the moon and the sun, and there's Minmus, our first glimpse up close of the planet. So our maneuver node is 2 hours away, so I'll time accelerate, and I think this rocket was quite good. If you see just enough fuel, probably have to use some of the lander fuel for this maneuver. See if I can do another crew report. Am I in? Nope, still high over Minmus, so I'm not even close. Oh, and that's even better there, isn't it? So it's a 12-second burn with this motor. Bill is just chilling, staying serious. Lose that stage. Cut the throttle and we're in orbit around Minmus. Minmus. I always want to say Minimus. So we're heading that direction. So I'm wondering, yeah, let's do this. It can be difficult to click on these tabs without setting a maneuver, but if you do, then the information will stay on the screen. So we'll cut our orbit, drop down to 11,000, I think would be high enough. And then we can kind of zoom in real close to the little icy moon. See if we can. Nope, still high over Minmus. See if we can get a little closer. And we might just find a landing spot that's close by. So we're almost to our periapsis. So I'll try one more time for a crew report. There we go. While in space near Minmus. Transmit that data. And we'll also use, oh no, I forgot. I think this is number 1. So we'll hit 2 mystery goo observation for 40 science. We'll keep that data. And 5 was the temperature reading. And we'll keep that data. And we'll go back high over Minmus. I could have brought that down a little bit, I guess. But I didn't do a mystery goo reading. So I'll do a temperature reading. Oh, I can't do another temperature scan. I wonder if I have to be further up, or if I have to retrieve that information before I can do it again. Oh no. I think I would have to do that, so I will do that when we land. So I'm going to end this episode here. On the next episode, we'll hopefully land on Minmus and get some more of that wonderful science to continue our exploration into the Kerbal system. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.